and charmed ones, welcome back to my channel. As you can tell from the title of this video, today we're going to be talking about filofaxes and productivity with a video about how you can GTD or get things done with a filofax and the 43 folders system. Now, as you guys know, I love my personal fluorescent pink original filofax. It stores all of my current projects, active lists, to-do items, basically anything that's on my plate at the moment is inside of this planner. But I was in a conundrum because although this houses a lot of things in my life, it doesn't house everything. But I needed a system to manage those sorts of future to-do items, bills, tasks, project ideas that I have, things that are just not immediately actionable for me. I needed a place to kind of store those ideas and to manage any associated paperwork or reference materials that go along with them. At first, I tried to use one of those accordion style file folder binders, and I was having some problems with that. First of all, there were not enough divided out sections for all of the projects and or categories that I needed to basically contain. And what ended up happening was I would put something into the accordion file, and then when I was going to look for it, I couldn't find it. Like, I would lose things inside of this folder because things really weren't divided out in a really logical way, because I was trying to get my things to fit inside of this system when really I just needed to find a system that fit all of my things. So what ended up happening was I would keep some of the things in the accordion file, some of the things on files on my desk, and then other things were just kind of scattered all over my office, which, as you guys know, that's not really efficient and that's not really organized. So I obviously had to move away from that accordion folder system and find something better. So while I was thinking about what my needs were and the type of system that I'd need to use, I realized that I had once had a system that really did fit my needs and that would still fit the current needs that I had. And that was something that I used back when I worked in an office. And what it was called was a tickler file. Now, a tickler file can take many forms, but the one that I was thinking about was like an actual physical expandable file that like sits on your desk that's broken out into sections for all of the months of the year and then into sections for every day within a month. So this sort of system was something I'd used back when I worked in an office to kind of corral and wrangle all of the loose items and to-dos that weren't immediate actions. And I thought, you know, that would be a really great idea for me to implement right now. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with what a tickler file is, the tickler file was actually popularized by David Allen in his book, Getting Things Done, in which he talks about the files as a way to manage those sorts of future to-do lists and items that really just don't have a current action associated with them. So the tickler file is like an ultimate inbox of sorts, managing items for in-process projects as well as someday maybe or future tasks. Now, the tickler file, which I don't necessarily think that David Allen is responsible for coming up with the idea of a tickler file, but it really stems from the concept of the 43 folders system, which I also do not believe belongs to David Allen. I don't think he's attributed with creating that system as well. And to be completely honest with you guys, I tried to research where it came from and I wasn't actually able to pinpoint exactly where to tell you guys. But basically, the 43 folders system is a system of 43 folders, 12 of them, one for each month of the year, and 31 of them for the 31 maximum days that can come in a month. So basically what the 43 folders system is a rotating calendar system that becomes a catch-all for bills, paperwork, and any sort of reference materials that come across in your life that you need to hold on to and file for later. So because this is me we're talking about, and I know you guys know me enough by now to know that I wasn't necessarily just going to run out to the store and purchase a tickler file over at my local Staples. So what I decided to do was to repurpose one of my unused filofaxes, my A5 original in fluoro pink, This is like the mommy to my little baby planner here. So they're like a complete set for me now. So I took this binder, grabbed a few supplies, and decided to get to work designing my own Filofax-based 43 planners system. Now, just so I'm clear, a tickler file isn't actually very expensive. I think they're probably about $25 if you get them at your local office supply store. And if you did want to implement a 43 folder system outside of a Filofax for even less expensive than that, you could actually just use 43 file folders, like buy a bunch of file folders and then go ahead and date them all January through December and then number them, rest of them 1 through 31, and then use something like either a hanging folder system that you may already have in a cabinet, or kind of dedicate like a box or something on your desk to actually containing those folders for you. But for me, both of those options were just not an elegant solution, and you know I like to have things that are pretty so that I want to use them. So I chose a spare A5 instead of a spare personal size because for me, the A5 is more of a desk-sized planner, and as you guys may be familiar, an A5 is actually just half of a standard sheet of paper, so I figured that for storing paperwork and things like that, it would be much easier for me to just fold a piece of paper in half and slide it into the proper folder in the Filofax than it would be to sort of have to manage large papers in a personal size. But if all you have is a personal size, then definitely, you know, I think you could definitely absolutely kind of switch this around and sort of manipulate it to put into a personal. But for me, I had a spare A5. A5 seemed to be the logical choice for me, so that's what I went with. So other than the A5 planner, let me go ahead and give you a list of the supplies that I used to actually put together this system. I used 12 file folders, 12 medium-sized Martha Stewart for Avery tabs, 16 sheets of 24-pound colored printer paper, 31 small-sized Martha Stewart for Avery tabs, clear tape, my paper cutter and 6 hole punch, a pencil, a permanent marker, and additionally, I had 2 Martha Stewart A5 equivalent clear folders, as well as a Martha Stewart zip pouch that was also an A5 equivalent. Now, those are not necessarily things that are going to be part of the system, and you'll see all that in a minute and I'll walk you through it. But they were things that I had on hand that I thought would be helpful for me, so I just used those and repurposed them into a Filofax, and I'll show you guys how I did it in a moment. Okay, so let's take a look inside of my A5 Fluoro Pink Filofax original and see how I've got this system set up. The first thing you'll see when you open the Filofax is a zip pouch from Martha Stewart for Avery. I just use this zip pouch to hold any sorts of loose sticky notes or stickers or paper clips that I want to use within the planner. Now, because this comes from the Martha Stewart for Avery line, it actually isn't a complete fit with the hole alignment. So as you can see, I actually washi taped and repunched this, but I just wanted to make use of this because I wasn't using it and I didn't want it to go to waste. Okay, so the first part of this system is actually a generic inbox and outbox for quickly filing away papers and notes. These are not actually part of the 43 folders system because that would make it 45. But as you can see, I'm just using these clear Martha Stewart for Avery folders in order to wrangle loose papers. The inbox obviously is for things that are coming in, and then the outbox is for things that need to be mailed or need to be delegated. Right now I just have a sticky note to remind me to mail a package that clearly does not fit inside my planner, so I have that sticky note representing the item. So the first part of the folder system is actually the monthly folders, and as you can see here, I am on the November folder because it is currently November. So for each month of the year, January through December, what I did was I created a simple folder out of a generic file folder by simply cutting it to the appropriate size for the file, cutting it a slit into one side to create the arm of a pocket, and then taping the bottom and side to create a folder, somewhat in the way that I did the DIY file folder for a personal size, but just kind of adapting it for a larger planner. And then all I did was added a tab to each of the folders, one for each month of the year, and then I wrote what month it was for. So like I said, since we're currently in November, I have that folder at the beginning of the system, because within the 43 folder system, the current month is always the first file, followed by the current day of the month. It's a cyclical system where you're moving folders around in order to always have the next 31 or so days in order. The file for the month is where I would store any papers or notes that pertain to the month that either do not belong in a certain day or have not yet been set to be processed on a specific day. Ideally, you would use the month folder as a catch-all, and on the first of the month, you would process all the items in the folder, but that doesn't always work out that way for me. Following the monthly folder, I also have a month on one page insert that I created for myself for use in the system. One side of the insert is a calendar where I can schedule things like bills or important due dates, and the opposite side is a monthly checklist. Here I can write down descriptions of items I'm storing in the dated section and check them off once they're completed. I may throw away papers or notes that pertain to the to-do item if they don't need to be saved, but this checklist will always act as a reference for me to look back on if I question whether or not I did indeed process an item from the filing system. Okay, and now on to the daily pages. After the current month folder comes the 31 individual day folders. In the 43 folder system, these would be actual folders as well. However, I knew I wasn't going to be able to physically fit 43 entire folders into this binder, and 45 if you count my inbox and outbox, plus that zipper folder as well. So I chose to use a single sheet of colorful printer paper with another Martha Stewart tab to represent each of the 31 days. Each of the pages acts as a dashboard or a landing page where I can either stick a post-it or paperclip paperwork that pertains to the day. Or I can punch in papers or whatever I need and just put them there in the folders between the days so I know that certain papers pertain to a certain day. I do not write on these pieces of paper. That's very important because they are not meant to be month specific. In fact, I'm planning on eventually laminating these pages to make them slightly more durable. As an aside, since the system is in a Filofax and it's easy enough to add and remove pages, you could technically decide that you want to write on these pages and then each month make a new page and transfer the paper, but that is not how I'm using it. So this is just up to you and your personal preference. So as the days pass within the year, you need to actually physically move your daily folders or pages, as the case may be, onto the next month as you process all of your items for that day. This is what makes it a cyclical system. And of course, once the month ends, you should also be moving that last month to the end of the folder system so that the current month is at the top of the pile. As you can see as I flip through these pages, I don't necessarily have something for every day, but I do have things marked off on their specific day. As you can see here, I've got the confirmation for a trip that my husband and I are going on next month, marked on the day that we're flying out so that I can just grab it on the morning of and have that with me. So this system really works as a really great filing system, kind of like an ongoing calendar system for basically storing away all of that paperwork and minutia that kind of hit your desk and come into your life. Now, as you can see behind all of the dated pages and all of the months, I actually store some extra supplies. I have some pre-punched Filofax pages, and I actually have a little divider there so I can quickly access them. But these are just extra pages for me to take notes and, write things down, and then I can go ahead and transfer them to the proper day in my Filofax that they pertain to. So this is just extra storage. And of course, I've got a little page lifter in the back as well. Okay, so it's time for a quick little example exercise of how I process items and the general workflow that I use with this system. Okay, so I just picked up my mail on the way in from the gym today, and looky here, I've got a bill. I'm a little busy right now, so I'm gonna have to leave this in my inbox until I'm ready to process it. So I'm gonna just go ahead and put this in my inbox and deal with it later. Oh look, I just got an email from one of my clients, Vandelay Industries. It has some reference information for a project I'm working on with them in February. I know I'll probably forget about this email if I leave it in my computer's inbox, so I think it's best that I print it out and store it inside my filing system. Okay, so like I said, this project isn't happening until February, so I think I'll just tuck this away in my February file for reference later. Let me just make a quick note of this on my sticky notes so that I know what this is for when I go back to look at this in February. Good, now it's all tucked away where I can find it when it's time for me to use this information. And look what I just found in my wallet. That Target receipt I was looking for. I need to remember to return an item on this receipt the next time I go to Target. I know I'll be going there on Sunday, so let me just go ahead and clip this to this 22nd with a post-it note to remind me to bring this receipt and the item I'm returning with me to the store that day. Perfect. Now when I check my folder system on Sunday morning, I'll see this receipt and the note I've left and remember to bring everything with me to the store when I go. Now I know some of these examples were a little bit silly, you guys, and they were meant to be, but I just wanted to give you guys an idea of the sort of workflow that you would use with this type of system. How you can take a variety of different paperwork and notes and such and store them in here and process them when you have the time. So far for me, this A5 Filofax using the 43 folder system has been a major help for me and a great way for me to organize all the various items in my life that don't fit into my personal size planner. Okay, so that is my 43 folders, or really 45 folders in a zip pouch system for using my A5 Filofax as a means to basically corral all of the excess paperwork in my life and all the things that don't fit into my personal size because they're future to-do items that I don't have to do right now. So I think this is actually a really awesome system and really just a great way to kind of create almost like a portable filing system for yourself because it's within the confines of an A5 Filofax, and although some people don't consider an A5 Filofax to be incredibly portable, it is more portable than your filing cabinet with hanging folders. So I definitely think this is a great option, and if you guys have a spare sitting around and you feel like you've got all this paperwork just sitting around you that needs to be corralled and organized, I would definitely suggest going ahead and just repurposing one of your excess planners for that purpose, or obviously just using the 43 planners system in general, or getting yourself a tickler folder. So because I'm not really an expert at this stuff, you guys, I've just kind of been a student of it for a while, and like I said, it's been a little bit since I've actually executed this sort of a system. I'm going to go ahead and link down below to David Allen's book, his website, various other places where you guys can find information on this 43 folders system. So that if you guys have any questions about that or want to get started and don't feel like I've done an adequate job describing it to you guys, then you guys can definitely do research on your own. Of course, if you do have questions about something I talked about or showed you in this video, please feel free to leave them down below and I'll help you, or at least direct you to a resource that I think will be able to help you, because this is the sort of thing where this system's been around for a long time. It's not overly complicated, but there's a lot of different information out there on how to best use this for different scenarios, and I've really just kind of shown you guys one way to sort of implement this system. So I definitely want to make sure that you guys are able to find those different areas online and different, places where you can get more information. So do not hesitate to leave me a comment down below. Of course, if this was an exciting video for you guys, if you liked learning about this 43 folders system, definitely go ahead and give this video a like. It really does help other people to find my videos, so giving me a thumbs up is a really great way to help others find this useful information and content that I provide to you guys. And of course, if you're new around here, make sure you hit that subscribe button for more awesome videos by me. And you can also follow me all over the web at all social media at Miss Trenchcoat. So thank you guys so much for watching, and until the next video, bye-bye.